I think a big thing that, with Trump's transition, there's a lot of things going on. The controversial pick of Matt Gaetz as his Attorney General, or RFK Jr. leading the Health and Human Services, department, or what you have it. I think one thing that people are not talking about is his series of videos, and one video in particular about, his agenda moving forward. And one video Trump did make was about his quote unquote, um, you know, paying reparations back to people who have suffered from the racist policies of DEI, or, I think he said something along the lines of any public university, using endowment or federal funding or state funding, taxpayer funding, or in the purpose of, you know, DEI initiatives. And I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think it's the right idea, but it's the terribly a wrong execution of that said idea. Um, and I guess I'll go into detail. So I'm going to lay out my biases right here. Like, I benefit from DEI. Um, I'm on a full tuition merit scholarship from the Ohio State University through the Moral Scholarship Program. The Moral Scholarship Program hands out about 400 of these scholarships a year. The way I had to apply was I had to write a 400-ish word essay about my commitment to, I think it was social justice, positive impact, and diversity in my environment. There was nothing that asked me, what race are you, what sexuality are you, what gender are you, and whatnot. Um, I got the scholarship, and I feel very grateful for it because of the fact that, you know, my parents, or my household situation is, we are from a income, middle class income family, but you know, it's not that we have oodles and oodles of just money laying around, that college is not that big of an expense. But at the same time, we're not, below the poverty line where we can qualify for all these grants or financial aid or FAFSA money, where we can make ends meet but still afford college. So we're at the, this kind of shitty middle ground where it's like you don't qualify for much financial aid, but college is still a burden to pay for. But this scholarship for me has opened such a big door of opportunity. Um, I was considering, if this scholarship weren't on the table, I would have been considering, going to my in-state school, U of I, under their business school, maybe pursuing a degree in accounting or something along those lines, as I knew that, there would be job security later on. But because of this scholarship, I'm able to pursue my passion of a major that really interests me, political science and economics. So then I can, since I don't have to take out loans or worry too much about money, I'm able to do a degree I like, get more out of it, and get a job that, I'm more fond of. So, um, and Trump's idea of what DEI is, I think the people around him and the people who are making these decisions to get rid of it don't really understand what kind of game they're playing. Um, I have a lot of people I know who have grandparents or wills and trusts left by their ancestors or relatives, that give them a crap ton of money to pay for college, not have to take out loans. Do I criticize that? Do I think that is considered an unjust system where, because proportionally, white folks and people of higher socioeconomic status, they are the ones who are more likely to have those wills and trusts. My parents just got here in the 90s. Where's my will? Where's my trust? Can we call it inequality? Maybe. But am I going to sit here and complain and bitch and moan and say, no, a portion of that will has to go to me or people who can't afford college comfortably? No, that's your money. That's your parents' money. That's within your family. That's all. That's all for you to spend. And the thing about, these DEI programs is it's not just for black students or minority students or, people who are queer or whatever the case is. Um, I've have a lot of people in my program who are white males. A lot of them, uh, you know, are from the South, rural areas, you know, and they're very profound people. They're very thoughtful people, and they're very good-hearted people that deserve the scholarship. And I agree with that. Forget the fact that they're minority and this and that. And on top of that, the idea of diversity. Believe it or not, um, I think diversity of thought is also apparent. Before the election night, a bunch of people in my scholarship program got together randomly and just started talking about, what it's like to live our lives and what we think about the election and whatnot. And, people were throwing out conservative values and they were under the same scholarship as me. I lean conservative on some values too, especially economic values. And, that's okay. That's accepted in this community. And I think, they get a bad rep of, the idea of diversity, equity, inclusion. It's not the same as affirmative action, which I disagree with in the sense where it's the right intention, but, I think instead of pushing people, I think it's like a band-aid on a bullet hole, where in the sense you're pushing these people to get to college, maybe a better college, at the very end of the finish line, when in reality, I think, when people are younger, the critical period, when they're learning basic arithmetic, making sure that every student has those foundational abilities. Obviously, that's very idealistic, and affirmative action seems a lot more, um, pragmatic and plausible. But I understand where Trump's coming from, though. I really do, because from the perspective of a white kid who, or anybody else, maybe an Asian kid who, you know, didn't get anything from diversity, equity, and inclusion, they may feel like, we're just stealing their money or something along those lines. And I get the frustration there. But, you know, I would consider myself more of a capitalist, and the idea that building capital is good and generational wealth is good. And these programs, most of these kids in this program, their parents, went to rudimentary college, maybe not college at all. A lot of them, obviously, middle class, first to make it here. They're building that generational wealth by getting these opportunities. And these kids are not stupid by any figment of the imagination. They're not just picking out minority kids off the streets and putting them into full ride scholarships. You know, estimately, this scholarship is very selective. Like I said, only 400 scholarships. So they are very keen on who they select. They want the brightest of the bunch. So, with that all being said, I think Trump's idea of attacking the DEI is not the right course of action. I mean, people are complaining that we're spending all this money overseas when the money being spent by public universities for these DEI initiatives are, a fraction, a very, very small fraction of other government spending that, are equally as bad. And I don't see any negative consequence. Me getting the scholarship or anybody else being benefited from DEI doesn't hurt the chances of another person getting accepted into a school. Um, so, long story short, I think, and I can only speak from the Ohio State perspective, the people who run this program, they do a pretty bang up job. Obviously, I don't know how other public universities run it, but if I were to assume that they do the same job as, what they do over here, then I can only be continued support. This might be considered very controversial, but um, the moniker of DEI has just been completely misinterpreted and alienated by some folks on the far left or far right, where people don't really understand what DEI is doing and what it has done. Like I said, there are people who are conservative, there are people who are socialists who identify as communists, there are people who voted for Trump who are in my program, and that's totally okay. And I like hearing everybody's perspective, and everybody has something to bring to the table. Everybody's, the first one, not everybody, but, everybody is not supposed to be there. That's kind of how I see it. And, they made it and they're, ready to just, reap the fruits of their hard work, and you know, that's all I have to say. So, um, do I think Trump's plan will be implemented with 100% success? I doubt it. It's a very hard scale operation, but I guess we'll just have to see. With that being said, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it.